What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's
Welcome to another Thursday
up?
episode. What's up, Rado?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you today, Jules? Let's do it.
I'm doing swell there. Yes, we made it back to another Thursday, y'all. Happy Friday Eve. If you didn't know, listen, if you haven't already, share that stream. Let somebody know that clapback is on, baby. It's time to dig in. We got a lot of topics to come and holler at you at. So let's get it.
Let's get it.
You see that more self-love today, baby. Um, have you been on social media today? Because there's some crazy story going around that there's aliens. And so now we got aliens back on our timeline.
Well, this is not the first time we talked about this on the show.
But this is the first time that we've actually had fossilized pictures. So there is a viral image going around about an alien corpse slated to have come about 1,000 years old that was displayed in Mexican Congress. It's actually one of two bodies. And so allegedly this alien,
just like E.T. too.
Just like E.T. But I digress and say this. So this alien, you guys, has been presented by one of those like UFO trackers, like somebody who's like super into it. You know, I was really trying to find some information about whether or not this was going to be credible. Like, I didn't want to just bring it on the show, and it was a little bit difficult to find, but I did find an article in Smithsonian Magazine that kind of broke it down the best way. And it was talking about this UFO scientist, writer, TV host, Jaime Maussan, that he testified under oath today at Mexican Congress. And he was saying that these bodies are authentic, that they found them in a mine and somehow they were preserved and, you know, they're wrapped and mummified, and that these are non-human remains.
Wow, so they were mummified. Oh, wow.
Well, here's the thing. Mexican Congress isn't convinced. Their scientists are not convinced that this is what it seems to be. And so there has to be, again, a secondary kind of investigation. The research group the research group that is allegedly supporting these findings is really coming off and saying, listen, the National Autonomous University of Mexico said that they don't know what this is yet, and they're not backing it, that they don't, you know, in no case do they make any conclusions about the origins of the samples. And, you know, and they're not supporting this. So I don't think this is real. I think this is somebody who's crazy, who really wants there to be UFOs. Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to say that there is not life outside of us human beings, but this
AKA aliens,
but these particular bodies may not be real.
Okay, so this is my thing, right? I feel like anytime the government wants to downplay something, it's a warning to say, hey, it's real. It's real. Because population control is real. And all the government does on a regular basis is try to control the population, try to control the narrative, right? So we spoke either last week on this show or the week before, and I was asking about Area 51. And of course, for so many millions of people love the movie Independence Day, starring Will Smith, just like I do, right? But Area 51 is a real thing. It is a government entity, restricted, highly classified, restricted. Not even the president can enter this place. But it has all kinds of juicy secrets. Of course, aliens and all these different things that they don't want the world to know, right? Because they will be in disarray, they'd be out of order, and the world would just be in total chaos. We seen the video last month, and you remember this, when the UFO landed in the backyard, right?
Right.
And got up out of there. Some of these things you just can't explain. We know that there's life on the other side. They just don't want us to see it, Jules. And honestly, I don't want to see it. I'm not ready.
Well, you know what? I'll agree with that. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm glad you brought it up. So the guy that you're speaking of, the former, I think he's a former Navy pilot that works with NASA. He actually was there at Mexican Congress listening in. And so he was in his statement, he kind of said that he was there because he wanted to
clear the air.
No, not clear the air, because he's not backing any of this stuff. He wanted to go and kind of listen in and promote that, it's time for us to kind of invest more money and more, and more research into UFOs and in life outside of Earth. So
and stop blaming it on like comet crashes or some kind of plane crash. Like, we know what's going on. Like,
listen, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that these are real bodies, but
until you see one at your front door.
Listen, I love that we got you as our conspiracy theorist.
Man, shout out to Ancient Aliens. It's a TV show on Discovery Channel who speaks to the fifth degree of aliens. I mean, they tell you everything about them. I'm just gonna close up like you. Aliens are real, man. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
All right. Moving into a little bit more serious topic. The Memphis police officers, who were indicted federally in a grand jury in the case of Tyree Nichols. So if you guys remember, these are the 5 officers that are being accused of, for lack of better words, beating the crap out of Tyree Nichols, who subsequently died 3 days later. I'm actually not surprised. The lawyers in this case said, that they expected this kind of outcome, but this is a federal indictment. So let us not get confused that they still have state charges coming out. I mean, they still have state charges that they have to fight, but these are the federal charges that are going to come up. So now, the grand jury said, yep, the indictment is in. And so now they're going to have to face federal court in addition to state court. Good. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm still disgusted. We are living in a time where we have been taught over and over. Oh, excuse my yawns. But we have been taught over and over for blacks to hate blacks. And this is just another example of it. Mm-hmm. We have to, at some point, start looking in the mirror and understanding that people of color are related, and closely related. I'm so tired of just the hate on black. Let me digress for a second because I'm a little excited here, right? I just want to understand how not a gang of thugs, right? Not a gang of adolescents. We're talking about mature males, right? Mm-hmm. That are law enforcement that's come together and beat this guy out of commission. I mean, they whooped this guy so bad. They hit him with everything they can find. And I mean, this is the example they're setting.
I know.
Badge, what kind of example are you showing to the race? You know what I'm saying? To the culture. It's so just irresponsible, man. And on top of it, I hate to just use the whole black on black thing, but it is also a policing issue. The police is their own culture. How you police people, the origin of policing, how it came from slavery and all those different things. I mean, they are taught viciously, man, to hurt people of color, man. All of this because he wouldn't stop. All right. This you had to chase him. I mean, what are we talking about here?
They
didn't care nothing about body cam. They knew that their body cams was on. They cared nothing about it. But go ahead.
It's disappointing to me that we have police brutality in general. It's even more disappointing when you look at the men who are supposed to represent us. And again, Black people are not a monolith, right? But at the end of the day, we are categorized in represent each other. I am my brother's keeper. And so if that is our saying, what's also upsetting is that nobody checked each other. And I think we need to do a better job at that, not only when it comes down to policing and holding police accountable, but really just each other, right? Like it really seems that there's no room for anyone to provide correction, whether it be a young person or a peer or something of that nature, a colleague. If somebody is acting bad and doing bad things, even if you are not a person who is an agitator or somebody who is a part who is participating in the violent act or the wrongdoing, you still are a troublemaker by not standing in and saying, back off, like, don't do that. And so
cowards.
It's so widely accepted. And so while everybody didn't take the same number of blows or do the same amount of things, all of them are guilty, because sometimes not doing anything is going to cause you to have to be responsible for not stepping in and taking charge. So
association, I've been charging this like this for years.
All 5 of these former officers are, like I said, are going to face these state felony charges, including second-degree murder, aggravated assault, and aggravated kidnapping in connection with Tyre Nichols' death. They all pleaded not guilty.
Are they still employed?
No.
Good. So what got me was the part where this guy was on the ground screaming for his mom. That took me out.
Yeah.
To have this guy less than a block away from his home screaming for his mom, and still having these guys hold him against his will, which is the kidnapping part that comes in, and then again continue to just beat on this man. And it's so cowardly to me, because obviously we know this guy dealt with had mental health issues and things of that nature. And it's like, what are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
What are you getting out of this? And as you know, this thing goes deeper and deeper, right? So obviously this case has kind of been swept under the rug, and now it's coming back due to the officers being charged. But you do know that there was some intimacy with him and one of the officers' wives or girlfriends, right? So
I don't remember that being true. I think it was reported, but it wasn't founded.
Oh, so was it true or wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't confirmed whether or not that was true or not, that he had a relationship with one of the officers' baby mothers or something like that. It was unfounded. Like, they couldn't confirm whether that was true or not.
Well, for a story like that to come out, I feel like there's some truth and some association there somewhere. So 1 + 1 = 2. There had to have been some underlying reason to beat this man like this. This was a mobbing. This was a lynching. This wasn't, oh, you ran off and made me run a little longer, so now I'm gonna beat you. When that happens, an officer might kick an individual, might even give him a couple of blows, but to beat someone to death is personal. You understand what I'm saying, Jules?
I understand, and you're right. The personal touch does feel like it should be there.
This small town like this, easily, probably, been in the same circles. It had to been that they seen this guy some time before, had an altercation, even if it wasn't had to do as far as, with his girlfriends or whatever the case may be. But something else was here. Somebody had an info. This was planned. This was a lynching.
I don't know if it was planned. We can't say that it was planned, right? But what we can say is that it felt personal. I can't argue that it didn't feel personal. And it to your point, if something like this happened in the city, oftentimes, like, officers know who they're engaging and interacting with, right? Like, they know the people who are hanging out. Tyre Nichols didn't seem like a guy who was hanging out, right? And so if you remember, to your earlier point, he ran, right? What happens when you outrun the police? They're hella mad. They're hella mad. Yeah, so at that point, you're taking your frustrations out on someone. I
get that part, Jules. I get that part, but again, it's to a degree. When officers are mad like that, I've been assaulted by officers in the past for these same reasons. They will hit you. They will kick you. They will do certain things to a certain degree. But to whip somebody to this time length to death, I'm telling you, that is something personal. That's the reason why they're charged right now. Something is coming out. The story is about to hit the fan, love. Trust me.
So you're basically saying, like, something don't add up.
Something don't add up. Yeah. Something don't add up.
I can go with that.
Yeah, it's something there for sure, man. But rest in peace to Tyre Nichols, man. No mom should have to see this, view this, feel this. She's going to be grieving forever to know that her baby was some 100 feet away yelling for her. Yeah. Like, it's embarrassing. It's disgraceful, and it's unacceptable. And I'm tired of it. We talk so much about that other race that has been doing this to us for so many years. But we fail to neglect when we do it to ourselves. We have to hold each other accountable. We have to hold each other accountable. And there's things that I can't say on this show or on any show, but at some point, people need to be held accountable to the same standard that they put people through. And I hate to say that, but it's just sad to see this, man, continue to happen. And the consequence in which they're going to get is not sufficient enough. I'm telling you that now. Once you lose a life and to this degree, neglectfully like this, you could just never replace it. So I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, Jules. It gets me emotional every time, man, because when I see him, I see my son. When I see him, I see me. I see your brother. I see my cousin. At any given time, this can happen to any of us, man. And at some point, we need to start getting police that could police our communities with a loving, humbling way, instead of using this massive, ignorant, old school, racist policing method.
Well, I'd like to bring you into our next story, which still is speaking on police accountability. And this is the most disgusting story that we have on the show tonight. One of which I never thought I would hear in my lifetime. But there's a Seattle police officer who's being investigated after he was being heard on a body camera joking about a 23-year-old woman who lost her life after being struck fatally by an officer who was responding to a call. We have a clip that, of the audio. So we're going to hear the audio, you guys, of how he felt like this young lady's life was valued. Let's take a look.
The Office of Police Accountability is now investigating after body cam footage shows how Seattle police reacted to the death of this woman, Janavi Kandula.
And she was hit and killed by an officer headed to an overdose call in South Lake Union back in January. On the way, Officer Kevin Dave hit and killed a college student with his patrol car. The audio recording under investigation is believed to be the voice of Officer Daniel Otterer, the Seattle Police Officers Guild vice president. And in it, you can hear him talking to someone else on body cam video after Dave hit and killed the student. And we do have to warn you, what you're about to hear is disturbing.
I think she went up on the hood, hit the windshield, then when he hit the brakes, flew off the car. But she is dead. No, it's a regular person. Yeah, just write a check. Just, yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
Officer Otterer has been investigated several times by the Office of Police Accountability for allegations surrounding use of force, detentions, and arrests, as well as professionalism. In a statement, the Seattle Police Department says, quote, an employee found the video through their routine work and raised concerns about the statements through the chain of command. Following a review of that video, the matter was referred to the Office of Police Accountability for investigation. We have reached out to the Seattle Police Department for further comment. We'll let you know when we hear back on that.
This is crazy. So
can you make this stuff up?
No, you can't
make this stuff up.
So this is an opportunity to have a conversation about something we're going to talk about later on in the show, and that's it's your private thoughts, your pillow talk, your intimate thoughts being projected out. And so this officer, in an article that I read, is basically saying that he was joking about what theoretically an attorney would say in terms of coming up with a settlement for this lady's family, for this young lady's family. This is a 23-year-old graduate student who was accidentally killed by a car. Like, can you imagine her family hearing this tape? This was the officer who is the investigator. This is not the officer that struck and took her life by accident. This is the officer that showed up to the scene to provide the investigation. Like, this is so painful and so hurtful that he would even joke around with something like this. And it goes back to this idea that we have to have the right people in place when it comes to community.
Yeah.
How dare you even feel like this is the kind of stuff that you just don't even joke about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to start putting filters on ourselves. Like, you want to have, locker room talk and all of that. Guess what? There's no room for that anymore. There's just no room. When you're in that uniform, you're a representation of community. You're a representation of law and order. You're a representation of justice. You're a representation of public safety. You're the people that we call when we need help in things. And it's unreal to me that he would sit and have this sidebar conversation joking about an incident that's so unbelievably hurtful. The sentiments that he should have, right? Like, maybe he's so desensitized, but the sentiments he should have is like, dang, there's a 23-year-old girl that lost her life today, and we have to tell her family that is no longer here because another officer, somebody who, and that officer is now going to have to live with the fact that they fatally killed somebody by accident, responding to another call. There's so many things, other feelings that you can have for him to sit back and have this jovial conversation with somebody. I mean, he's just an asshole. Like, there's just no other way to put it.
Super, super, super. That part. It took me out to laugh. What the hell is funny here? Like, this guy sitting up there really laughing, and who is he kikiing with?
Yeah.
Who in the car kikiing with, and why are they on trial?
Again, why this was what happens when you don't check your friends. Like, you're part of the problem by not being like, hold up, Slim. Like, that's not a good look.
There is a natural, nasty culture in policing that has become normalized throughout the entire country and outside of the country. And the kind of authority that they give these people is just out of control. Too much is being swept under the rug. At some point, there has to be a very stern message that we are going to police the right way across the board. And I just don't see it coming. It's hard to really trust authority like this, and then obviously we're not going to even touch on everything else that he had, right? So we could touch on that part, but we can also touch on his previous investigations, right? His previous citations. What are we doing about those? I mean, you could pull up so many different officers. Any officer that usually shoots a person dead, they got a rap sheet, man, as long as his page. They're not actual charges.
Oh my God. Do you know who he is? He is the police union vice president, and he was on the phone with the union president.
Wow.
These aren't regular officers. These are leaders.
Yeah, these are leaders. Yeah.
These are the people representing all the other officers.
These are leaders.
They're taking the sentiments of their officers and then bringing that to the forefront. Like, they're the council. They're the main ones. They're the main guys.
As you can see, he's saying he has several investigations since 2014, costing the city of Seattle $1.7 million in cases. And what is he still doing in uniform? What is he still doing in uniform?
This is one of those situations, and think about the last clip the last kind of like text line in that video that we saw in the news clip. It stated that someone was going through the footage. So this is somebody who was already thinking like, this guy's up to no good. They found this and then brought it to their superiors and said, this is something that we got to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about this. And
listen, if you're that guy, right? Like, if you're that jerk at work and you're building up a lot of people who know that you're not good, people are going to start targeting you and start looking out. And so shout out to the whistleblower who brought this to light. Something like this, and for people in power and position like this, it's so important that you air out their dirty laundry, because this is what buries them. The city of Seattle spending, almost $2 million in cases to investigate these claims. That's not burying him. The city is just saying, oh, okay, but guess what? Something like this audio of a graduate student losing her life, and then she had limited value. This is something that says we can't have it.
And I hope Seattle push. I hope Seattle push because this is just one of many instances that have been swept under the rug. This one just didn't get swept under the rug. Then you know this is not his first time. You know this is not his first time. Converge is saying the officer self-reported after he became aware that the tape was flagged. Questions remain. Will he have self-reported if the tape was not flagged? Do we have to answer this question, Jules?
No, of course not.
No way. There is no way he would have self-reported.
Of course not. And guess what? He's not fired, right? Like this is still under investigation because guess what? Can you be fired? Is this against policy? Is this a violation of his? It's not really a violation. It just shows that he's just not a great guy. Exactly. It just shows that he should not be in position of leadership, that he should not be representing the public's interest. But did he do a crime? No. Is it a violation? Not really. He's in a conversation and he got caught.
And he's in the union, so you know what's going to happen with that, right?
He's the vice president of the union.
So they're going to say, "Hey, Bob, go ahead and have a seat. Go ahead and sit behind the desk. We just need you out the public face for about 3 months. He'll be back." Because no one really knew it. Well, I can't really say that he wasn't popular or no one knew who he was because obviously Converge put up that he already cost the city $1.7 million. So they know who he is. But they're going to have him sit back for a few months. He'll be back full-fledged, right in the streets of Seattle, doing what he do. Pulling people over.
We'll have to keep this story alive and let you guys know what SPD what the determining factors come out of this. But this is egregious. It's disgusting. And we just can't have it. So
like we always say, prayers out to the family of
definitely
who lost their life. We value life here. We value life so much here. No matter what we say on this show on a weekly basis, life is essential. Life is important. Love is love.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's take a quick break. But when we come back, let's talk about Deion Sanders.
Deion, Colorado.
What I would say to that future entrepreneur is self-care. I think that the process of building a business and wearing all the hats that come with that can be very challenging. And sometimes we miss out on really cool, important opportunities with people we love and within our community. And although we make an impact as entrepreneurs, to people in our community, especially like with our families, like not only from a financial standpoint, but just from them seeing you live your dreams, it can inspire the people in your house and the folks around you. But I also think that entrepreneurship can be hard, and sometimes you don't think about taking care of yourself. And I think that should be something that's planned from the very beginning when you start to think about owning a business.
Immerse yourself in the healing waters of Het Heru for the Het Heru Healing Conference as renowned Het Heru healing dance creator Queen Mother Maj Tamamin guide you on a transformative journey of peace and joy. So mark your calendars on September 15th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and September 16th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute. Reserve your spot now for only $25. Follow us on Instagram at AsarAsatWA to secure your tickets. Let the rhythm move you and let the healing begin.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, and the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
All right, y'all, we back.
We back.
Talk about my boy Deion. Go ahead, Jules.
All right, look, so you guys know that Deion Sanders, aka Coach Prime, was named the head coach over there at the University of Colorado. So this university, their football program was actually failing. They had not won any games in the last several years. He took over the program And he has done a phenomenal job, like everyone thought he would do. And he's turning their program around. Even their chancellor of the school, the Colorado chancellor, is like, listen, this is the biggest story in sports happening right now. They only have one win in their season so far. But it's still big news because of the energy that Dion brings to the table.
Yeah. Oh, it's my turn to go?
Well, I know this is your story, so tell me what should we be excited about? I mean, I know Coach Prime alone is an exciting.
Well, I was so excited to be talking about Coach Prime today, aka Deion Sanders, aka the best cornerback in the history of the game, aka the flyest guy in the game. For everybody that grew up watching Deion Sanders, not only did we love his shoes, his swag, his aura, his everything. This guy is just magnificent. He's disciplined. He stands on morals and principles. And what we love the most is that he brought his sons with him. So as we all know, Coach Prime started his career a little bit little league and high school, but ended up making his debut a couple of years ago at Jackson State, which is the HBCU, a school that wasn't known too well. But obviously, when they got there, he started winning. Right? He had his son playing quarterback, his other son playing safety. And like we all know, the guy Travis Hunter, which was the #1 cornerback in the nation. Usually #1 players go to huge schools like Alabama, Florida, Texas, you name it, the bigger schools. But he went to a little old HBCU who didn't even have a practice facility. And he went there for Dion, and it made national news. And Jacksonville went from a losing school to a winning school. And it was so much slack, or so much flack, as I might say, with Dion, because Dion was offered the head coaching position in Colorado, and he left. And Black people feel like that he let the culture down and all these different things because he ended up leaving his little school. And obviously with Dion, he brought a lot of revenue to Mississippi. But he ended up leaving, coming to Colorado. He fired all the staff. He fired most of the players. And he brought his Black players, because he's so pro-Black, and I love it. He brought his Black players from Jackson, Mississippi, on up to Colorado. And their first game was against TCU, a school that had went, not won, but was in the national championship last year. And he tore their tail up. His son, that they said would not be able to play on this level, is the leading man for the Heisman this year. Ended up throwing over 550 yards, 3 touchdowns his first game, came back the second game, and he won this one through another 3 touchdowns and over 360 yards. So they're showing out. Travis Hunter he's a godsend. This is one of the first players to play every down. He plays cornerback and receiver in the same game, which is unheard of. His other son plays on the defensive side. He's really good. I mean, it's just so much to say.
Can you imagine this being your dad? Like, can you imagine?
I want him to be my dad. That's what I'm talking about. I want Dion. Dion, please be my dad.
This is what makes this story so incredible, is that he is literally changing the trajectory and the lives of not his sons, right? Yes, his sons also in a true way. Like, he's taking his star power, his expertise, his leadership, his discipline, and infusing it not only into his sons and giving them a platform to like take off on, but all of these other fantastic players that are like, I don't care if you're going to little Jackson State, Mississippi, I'm a #1 pick. I'm going to go follow you because I believe in you and your leadership. He's an incredible person because of his coaching style. And I think I heard about you. I heard you talk about this a lot, especially when we were at Norfolk State, in terms of like the coaching and your relationship with that. And you hear a lot of young men, specifically Black men, you hear them being able to kind of lean into the relationships that they have with their coaches, and they are like father figures, and they look to them to how they should grow into men themselves on and off the field. And so I think Coach Prime is an amazing example of how you give back, of how you take a chance. And I hope that other, former NFL players and even really just former athletes take the chance to say, you know what, I'm going to go to I'm going to go to an HBCU. I am going to coach. I am going to turn these programs around. And then, actually I'm going to take over a school, that was once a Pac-12 school and now put it in the Big 12. And like, we're going to play in these conferences that are huge. And so this is a big deal. Before we move on, I do want to talk to you about this. This is a little bit of tea. So there's a game that's supposed to take place on Saturday. Seems like it's a rival game, between Colorado State and then in the University of Colorado. Yep. So the coach at Colorado State, Jay Norvell, appeared to criticize Coach Prime ahead of the game in saying, and I quote, that, that his mother taught him to take off his hat and glasses when talking to grownups, in an apparent dig at the attire usually worn by the Hall of Famer. So this is...
I can't wait to hear Deion clap back. He ain't gonna let it go.
Oh, Deion already clapped back. His clap back was like, stop what you doing. Like, you don't tell me what to wear and don't tell me what to do. I love that Deion is authentically himself.
Yes.
He comes to the interviews with his hat, his stunner shades, his big chains. He be wearing his chains while he's coaching. Mm-hmm. If all you can talk about is the way I'm dressed, there ain't nothing for you to say. Man, it just ain't nothing for you to say. You trying to find something.
That's what makes him so attractive. His son has the biggest NIL deal. And for some of you guys who don't know, NIL deals are basically they came into fruition about 2 years ago, in which they allowed college athletes to be able to get paid. NCAA made it very clear for the last 50 years that it was illegal, right? And for any student to get any kind of funds. But now they have allowed players to get paid. Deion Sanders, I'm sorry, not Deion Sanders. His son is getting paid $4.7 million. Not one of, but the deal in NIL history. And I just love it. He wears his Rolex while he throw the ball sometimes. I mean, he's just so flashy and unapologetic about it. And I just love it. One thing about us, players will run through a brick wall for a coach that will back them. Mm-hmm. That's all they're looking for. And it's this thing, right? So in all football teams, you have captains, okay? And those captains, one on the offensive side is usually going to be the quarterback, and on the defensive side is usually like the linebacker or the safety, right? But they're the captains of the team, and that's who you see go out for the toss, the kickoffs, and all that kind of stuff like that. Deion has something unique. He has L's and he has D's. The L is for leader and the D is for dog. And what he means by that is that the L is his quarterbacks, is ones that's laid back. D, that's dogs, are the ones that's untamed. They're just dogs out there. And for him to identify that, it gets me hyped right now, because it's like, you want to be that. You want somebody to give you that claim to fame. You want somebody to believe in you in that way. And that's all it is. When you get a coach that could bring the best out of you, that's how you get your all-stars. That's how you get the superstars, man. Deion is doing it, man. I have officially, I really don't watch college sports that much. I usually watch professional, NBA, NFL, but I am a Colorado fan. I am doing everything I can to get to those games. They have said that these are the highest tickets in Colorado history. Everybody and their mother want to go to the game. Stephen A. Smith will be there tomorrow, the entire First Take show. You know how big First Take is? They're taking the entire show to Colorado University.
It's personal. It's personal.
Man, I am excited, man. Deion is the man, man. Deion
is the man. Well, look. Let's tie a bow on this. We're looking forward to the game on Saturday. Let's take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to have a conversation about pillow talking and getting caught on that jail phone. Stay tuned. You're watching Clapback Culture.
I think my pieces of advice would be: come in with humility, enjoy your passion, and be ready to work. Those are my three things. I think if you think your product is perfect and you may not need to adjust, your product's gonna die quickly, because the world adjusts, people adjust. You need to always be thinking about your customer and what they want. So you may have an idea of what you like, but you got to move that to what the customer likes also. And two, just enjoy your job. I love what I do. It is hard. I love what I do. It's hard, and you're fighting Mother Nature, and you're fighting inflation and all these other things. But I think it's made me a better human being. And thirdly, like, be ready to work. Don't be lazy. Like, just do the research. Get a mentor. Like, you know, that also goes with being humble. Like, find somebody who's done it, and then work with them to help you be the best version of yourself.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, and the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
1 in every 500 African Americans in the U.S. suffers from sickle cell disease. 1 in 3 African American blood donors is a match for patients with sickle cell. 1 appointment to donate blood with the American Red Cross can help save a life. Will you be that one? Visit redcrossblood.org/ourblood today to schedule an appointment at a location near you.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Class Culture.
Messy.
It's time to get a little messy. Listen, we know all about jail phone calls, don't we?
We know all about them.
All about them.
So happy to be on this side of the wall.
But what I can tell you is that before you get on a jail call, they tell you that the call is being reported, but never in a million years would you think that call, you would never think that it's just going to be like publicized and promoted. But Shirley Strawberry got caught with her pants down. Her estranged husband, she's now in divorce proceedings allegedly, but her estranged husband has been incarcerated since July of 2022. And in some of their private conversations, she was having a conversation with Ernesto, that's her husband, about her visit to Steve Harvey's house. So if you guys don't know, Shirley Strawberry has worked with Steve Harvey for a number of years on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. I listened to it. It's a great show. And she does what's called the Strawberry Letter. So if you guys don't know the Strawberry Letter, you know that Shirley gonna come through and it's always a messy story about some type of love affair, some type of mess. And then Steve and Shirley give their input and relationship advice. So Shirley had to write her own Strawberry Letter. So she wrote a Strawberry letter about herself, you guys, basically apologizing to Steve for the leaked audio. And so I wish I had the audio to play for you guys today, but essentially what she said is that she's on the phone with her husband and she's telling him, like, you know, I went over to Steve's house. We all were over there. And, you know, she's explaining the luxurious mansion that he has in Atlanta. And she's like, my goodness, Marjorie is Steve's wife of 16 years. And she's just like, man, you know, she's got her own gym, a spa, a sauna, a this, a that. She can get massages. It's just a dream. And it's funny because they're having this conversation and her husband, you know, they're just having kind of casual talk. And the husband asked like, oh, well, was she there? Did you see her? And he was like, oh, she was like, absolutely not. No, she wasn't there. If she was there, we wouldn't have been able to walk around, right? And, you know, she goes on to say that, you know, Marjorie looks at them like the help. So this was particularly, you know, sensitive to Steve Harvey because guess what? Number one, don't talk about his wife. And number two, they're already in the blogs for allegedly being, you know, on the verge of being broken up.
Yeah.
So
you bring the mess in what that's about, or we just going?
Well, no, listen, basically it's just a bunch of mess saying that they gonna break up and that Marjorie.
We need to get all the way messy, or we just gonna keep it on this because I'm ready.
I don't even want to play with Steve and Marjorie.
Okay.
What I want to say is, Shirley, listen, honey, it's one thing. Shirley apologized and she you know, she stood on it and I appreciate her.
Back up a little bit. Tell the people what she said about Steve.
Oh, she made a comment about Steve being winded coming up the stairs and said that, he may need to lose some weight or get some health issues. It really wasn't that bad. It really wasn't really that bad.
He said it like this: "Woo, child, he moving slow."
And but here's the thing: the whole conversation wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
What made it bad is that you got caught talking about your boss's wife.
Yeah.
And you saying that Marjorie sees you as the help is really how you feel. It doesn't have anything to do with Marjorie. It has everything to do with you feeling like the help.
But why would you feel like the help?
You feel like the help, Shirley Strawberry, because guess what? You're on number 5 eviction. Mm-hmm. You had to move out your house. You broke, busted, and disgusted. You're estranged from your kids right now. Your dude is locked up. You are feeling like the help. And then you're seeing this beautiful mansion that she lives in. Honey, she don't even allow people to come over there. And she said it in the call. She was like, oh no, I know we're not supposed to be in here, but Steve invited us in anyway. You feel like the help when you're dealing with multi-millionaires. Like Steve Harvey got so much money. He even said,
well, why do they not feel like they help to Steve and they help to her though? It is a big thing in how people treat you, because obviously Marjorie is the wife of the rich person. So if Steve not making a perfect person feel like the help, it's crazy that they feel like the help from her. That's just food for thought.
I can't say that she's making them feel like that. I think that they don't feel as adequate. So guess what? Marjorie is not their friend. You're Steve's employee. You work for my husband. We are not friends. And so I'm not going to build a relationship with you on a personal level. Marjorie doesn't want people in her home. Steve Harvey said it on the show. He said, listen, this is why I don't bring people to my house. Because guess what?
I'm suspicious of Marjorie.
Don't talk about that man's wife.
Marjorie, I'm suspicious of you.
Why?
Because she got people feeling away. She got people feeling away. I don't know about you, Marjorie. I don't know. We know Steve. We don't never see you. We know Lori. Lori be tripping, but we know her.
Listen, honey, Marjorie is with the who's who, honey. She doesn't have time.
Oh, okay, that part. Okay.
She doesn't have time.
Okay.
You know what? I think, first of all, if I'm Marjorie Harvey, Steve, don't have nobody in this house. You already know. Don't have nobody. Why do you have people touring my gym?
That's what you have nice things for, though.
No.
People don't need to. Baby, people want to show off their nice things.
Listen, okay. So for the record, when Rodney would have people come over, the first thing he would do is let them tour our house.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of inappropriate to be like, here's all my beautiful things.
Well, not like that. No, that's being conceited. Now it's inappropriate maybe to show your bedroom, right? Because people always feel uncomfortable in bedrooms. But if you have a nice home, their home is a museum. So, they're coming over and they're like, hold on, Steve offer us a drink. We kind of kick it. We have our meetings. But when Marjorie come around, we get that cold shoulder. Like it was said that when Marjorie walks, ice chills come throughout the hallway.
Not true. Listen, you better stop talking about Steve's wife. Steve is gonna come for Tasha K.
She bougie though. She bougie. So my pet peeve with any woman though, I couldn't have a wife like that, because my thing is, my pet peeve for anyone that I'm with, I hate for anyone that I'm with to treat someone like they're nothing. That's my pet peeve, because from the environment that I come from. So you don't want to see that from a wife. You want to see a loving person. And obviously she has kids, and I'm not going to keep getting on Marjorie, because it also could be something. Now hold on. Let me digress a little bit, or back up. So we did say that Shirley has been with Steve for a decent amount of years, right? So she's been with Steve for the same amount of time that he's been with Marjorie before that, right? So there could have been some tug and war there, not so much intimate, but there could have been, there is a reason why they're not on the same page after all these years, right? because usually who you come into a relationship with, and it seems like he came into a relationship with both of them around the same time, and even might have been with Shirley a little longer, that this relationship should have been like a family too. So some of that has to fall on Steve as well, in all seriousness. But let's just talk about what we're here for, and it's this messy, inappropriate leaking. It is so wrong and illegal for them to leak this kind of audio.
It's actually not illegal. I looked it up.
Okay, and what's not illegal about it?
So when you're on it, it's not illegal. It's called the Freedom of Information Act. And so anytime you're on a jail call that's being recorded, you can submit a request to get these audio recordings, which is, so somebody did their research.
Process hasn't been done. That process,
yes, it has.
So that process was done in this instance.
Yes, there are 10 tapes, and they all were legally
requested. You cannot take these tapes unless there's a criminal. This is the part you need to read. There has to be some kind of criminal intent. There has to be. You cannot just call up and say, you know what, I want to get Rodriguez Norman's tapes from the whole time he was in prison, and you're just some average person for no reason. Impossible.
No, you can. And guess what? It's a FOIA. So I work for the city council. They can FOIA Councilmember White anytime they want to. And that means if somebody wants to see his social media, his emails, anything on his government phone, anything that's owned by the government, they have a right to review.
Wow. That's
it's a real thing.
Because
any request can be made by any person to any federal agency.
The most intimate, and I say the most with emphasis on it. These most intimate and vulnerable conversations are had on prison phones, because that's when a man or woman are in their most vulnerable space, and those things should be the most private. I can only imagine what has been said. They better not leak them other tapes.
Oh, listen, baby, he got caught with mistresses and all types of stuff. So this is real, man. It's real. Like,
he got caught with mistresses on the tapes.
Yes, you think that was the only thing they pulled up? No, honey,
that's why they're getting a divorce.
I haven't listened to the tape to figure out why they're getting a divorce, but my theory in why they're getting a divorce is based on Shirley having a conversation with Ernesto, her former husband, that says, you know, Steve, she didn't say Steve, but she's alluding to Steve. Steve essentially said that there's a piece in her contract that says that she can't be associated with certain things because it will negatively reflect on his brand. So she either had to stay with her man or break up with him or lose her job.
Oh, this is the worst woman in the world. This is the worst woman in the world. We're not doing that. Like,
yeah.
I'm with Ernesto now. That's sickening.
Here's why I'm still Team Shirley, because Ernesto is trifling. He's a master. You haven't listened to the tapes. He is a master manipulator.
I mean, he might need some people to talk to, but
he's a master manipulator.
Side girl is not your wife. Your wife stick with you. Your wife stick with you.
It's not even the side girls. She needs to leave him and try to rebuild back her life. I feel like their relationship, after listening to some of the tapes, what I feel is, have you ever heard of there's a word that they call it, but you know how some people get scammed into love?
Oh, you feel
it feels like one of those situations. Like
hold on, because I'm not going to stop what you say, but you do know that in prison, a prisoner is able to say the most majestic things, right? They're able to come up and say some of the most, magical things. So, maybe he's just in there and kind of like in his spiel. Is that I gotta hear these tapes, because it sounds like these tapes are super, super juicy. What's on the tape, Juice?
Let's talk about why he's in jail. One of his charges is child pornography, being in possession of child pornography.
Oh, okay. Now I'm back on Team Shirley again.
So yeah.
Look, am I playing double dutch right now? I'm Team Shirley. I'm Team Ernesto. First of all, I'm never going back to Team Ernesto after you told me that. So let's just go ahead and invest into our daughter Shirley, because Team Ernesto, that's a chomo name anyway. Ernesto. Yeah, we're not doing that. Yeah, so I'm unapologetic about people who molest children. I don't like it.
But that's not, hold on. It said in possession of child pornography. He did not. We don't.
They chomo.
No, that's not the same thing. To molest a child
let me give you an insight on it, okay? From a professional standpoint, being as though I was behind the wall with these sickening people. So that sickness that they have, a lot of them will say, "Oh no, I was just selling pictures of naked children and things like that." No.
Right.
All that is a world, Jules. That's a whole world of nasty sexual craziness that needs to be rid of this world. It's a very, very serious thing. So if you type in any kind of pornography kind of stuff online right now, it might be porn home, excess. You might get X videos, you might get whatever porn sites, right? You can't put in naked children or naked. You can't put in that kind of stuff. That stuff you got to go into black webs and stuff to find. So in order to get this, you have to put the work in to see these sickening things like this, man. It is sickening. There is no place in this world for that, man.
That's why I'm saying that's why I was
pedophile.
But here's the thing. Again, charge has to be proven guilty. My thing is,
ain't he in prison? What you mean?
He's locked up. He's being held in the Fulton County Jail. So he hasn't been to court yet. So you don't know what's true and what's not true. And he has a co-defendant.
So if I'm in possession of 2 kilos of cocaine, what are we talking about here? I was holding them for you. I was holding them for you. Okay. I was just holding them for you. Okay.
I mean, is it yours? I didn't think it was. Innocent until proven guilty.
So look, you see how we just did that? How we was able to talk about kilos of cocaine as yours or as mine? Who's doing that with kids' pictures? What kind of let's have this conversation when we're talking about naked kids now. How does that go?
I don't want to talk about it.
But you can't. This is nasty, man.
Listen, we're at the top of the hour, so we're gonna have to wrap this.
I'll be having so much fun on Clapback, y'all. So much fun on Clapback.
Otto, when you're not here on Clapback, where can they find you?
Oh, you guys can find me on all platforms, y'all, at Rado007. And that's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my favorite, Gmail.
All right, you guys, you know where to follow me. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Treasure of Jules, Jules. You know what it is. Pull up, follow me. Let me know what you want to talk about next week. In fact, I'm going to be in studio next week, you guys, in Seattle. So make sure you guys send me topics. I want to talk about something good and something juicy. Listen, Shirley, keep your head up, sis. We're going to pray for you. Until then, until next week, stay peaceful.
Team Shirley, I love you, my daughter. Clap back to next.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.